Welcome to the A-26B, I think B. This is the first, fighter jet this game added. Now, externally, kind of looks like an F-15. Cockpit is kind of like an F-16, sort of. And then in functionality, it's basically an F-18. Lovely little mashup. Alright, so let's get to the controls. First thing you always want to turn on, right there, main battery. So to control this, your controller, for the all the controls, I'm going to start with your index finger should be on the trigger. Your middle finger should be on the grip button, and then there's a stick on either controller, and 2 clicky buttons and a menu button. And this is all for the Quest, of course. So first, you're going to take the index finger, your virtual index finger here, you're going to try to put it right there. Your controller will vibrate, you pull the trigger, guy's going to, daintily grab it, and you turn on your main battery. That shouldn't be on, but that's okay. Turn that off. So, next step. Turn on your APU, Auxiliary Power Unit. Turn that on. You'll hear it start to spool up. It's back there. Burns fuel, creates power, all sorts of good stuff. Now, next, this canopy lever, lower the canopy. That lowers, makes it nice and quiet, protects you from the wind, all sorts of good stuff. So when the APU has reached a good RPM, undo the protective covers here, and we can enable engines 1 and 2 and let those spool up. So, we've got the aircraft running. We'll go to the basic flight controls. This is your joystick. Pushing it forward makes the plane's nose go down. Pulling it back makes the plane's nose goes up. Of course, left and right is roll. Rudder is done by twisting. So this is full right rudder, full left rudder. That's a bit weird to get used to, but I'm sure you'll figure it out. This is the throttle. Forward is more throttle. Back is less throttle. All the way up. It'll kind of click into place at the top, and that's your afterburner. And this light will light up. It says AB. That uses a lot of fuel, of course, but more power. Alright, so next let's turn on the HUD, which is up here at the top. HUD switch on. Now, this has a lot of information. I think this is recording my right eye POV. Left eye POV? I'm not sure. Alright. We'll go top to bottom here. So way up at the top, that's a compass. Heading, HDG heading, currently is 289. This gives you heading from your aircraft. We'll start on the right side here. So this is an altimeter. Currently we are at, it says 3 feet, so this is our radar altitude. Below that is the vertical speed indicator in feet per minute. Below that square, we look at that square. When I rotate the controls, the little dot shows the position of the stick, and then the line is the position of the rudder. We'll go on the left side now. So no arm means no weapons are armed. Normally that will show which weapon is currently selected. Speed in knots. Then M is Mach, so 1 Mach being speed of sound. G is G-forces, positive being you're pulled into your seat, negative being you're pulled out of the seat. And then alpha is, now it's not on the screen now, but there is a airspeed direction indicator that will kind of float around in the middle here, showing you where your plane's going. The higher the alpha, the further that little indicator is from the nose of the aircraft. So 0 alpha would be you're going perfectly straight, and then let's say the aircraft is pointing up here, but you're still moving straight. That would be kind of a high alpha. That's a more advanced thing. And then all the way down on the left is the throttle indicator. So we will move on to the top screens here. These are 2 little screens, and then the left one with the top button, little info screens, information, fuel, very helpful. Left side is your radar warning receiver. Now, there's no radar sources at the moment, but if an enemy aircraft or a SAM site or a ground radar or anybody hits your aircraft with radar, this is going to light up and tell you some information, but that's not what we need right now. Okay, so let's move to this. These two things right here. These are very important. Big key parts of the aircraft. You turn them on with this little knob right here. You rotate them to the right. These are your MFDs, or multifunction displays. They run their own kind of custom OS that the game guy who built the game made for these. All kinds of options. So let's say, for example, we go to the radar screen. Radar's off right now, but there's our radar. We have a bunch of different options around it. All of these are going to have their own menus, but critical ones here: range increase, range decrease. Other things we can get to later: scan angle. Keep that at 60. Now a critical part here is SOI, or sensor of interest. Now let me we'll skip ahead here. Radar. This is the radar power knob. Turn that to on. So SOI means that if you grip the stick and then use the joystick, you can interact with that MFD. And so this two little lines let me select a radar target. Now this flight there won't be any, but very helpful. Now we'll go home, goes back to this screen, and we can go to nav in the bottom left here. And if I set as SOI, now I can move the map around. Pretty self-explanatory. And for this, zooms on the right here, and then you can reset your view, which will recenter back on the center. So for the fighting we're going to be doing, the two things you're really ever going to need, mostly, are going to be radar and nav. Now I like to put the radar on the left side, because I let go of the throttle to mess with the buttons, keep my hand on the stick, so I put the one I'm going to be using more on the left here. But you can do whatever you want. So those are the MFDs. Keep this on. Keep that on the radar. Now all those other options are important, but not important yet. Up here we can pull the mirror down and have a look at ourselves. And of course the bobblehead. Alright, next we are going to look at the weapon systems. Actually no, we're going to look at that in the air. We're going to get to the runway. We're going to fly. So, other critical flight controls. You have two here. Wings up and down. If we put the wings up, they fold. You're only ever going to do this on an aircraft carrier, but, you know, it's possible. And then the other one being brake lock. Currently I have this as a parking brake, so can't go anywhere. Turn that off. The aircraft starts to roll. Alright. Engines are on. Forgot to mention, after the engines are spooled up, you can turn off the APU. You don't need any more power, and it's wasting fuel, so turn it off. Now we can gently throttle up a little bit, get some speed. Now controlling on the runway is done purely through the rudder. Now if you want to turn right, turn the rudder right, and now the nose wheel is going to turn to the right. And I don't know if you saw on the HUD there, the brake. Now that is done when gripping the throttle, pull the trigger, and the brakes will activate. So I'm going to quickly taxi down to the end of the runway here. Now taxiing, you probably shouldn't go above 50 knots, but you can if you want. You can see the big old speed brake in the mirror there. I'm going to turn left, and again the navigation screen is always helpful for this. Is that a road? I don't know what that is. That looks funky. Now usually you're going to want to take off from the center of the runway, but really you can take off anywhere. Okay. So we apply the brakes. Stop. We'll put on the parking brake again. Now, when you're in flight, there's another thing you should do. This would be the toggle visor button. This can also be done by putting your hand up to the right side of your headset and pulling the trigger. You put down your cool looking visor and then turn on the head mounted queuing system, or HMCS. And this now shows the HUD kind of in the headset, so you know the HUD glass here isn't really doing anything, so it doesn't get cut off when you move your head. And if you look to the side, you now can see the current bearing that your head's pointing, your arm status, some other key indicators, and then your airspeed and altitude, which are very helpful. All right, so now that that's on, and this also gives some kind of blocking from the sun because it's quite bright up there. So we're ready to take off. This aircraft doesn't usually need flaps to take off, but if you need the flaps, they're over here by your landing gear. So you would grab the, with the trigger again, grab the flaps lever, pull it all the way down. You can't really see them, but flaps are all the way down. We're going to do a no flaps takeoff. So, when you're ready to take off, put the burners to full. There's the afterburner light. Make sure you stay lined up on the runway. Watch your airspeed. We're going to want to rotate at about about 250 knots. We're at 250. Point the W indicator there up to 5. The plane should just lift right off. And we're now in the air. So you can then take the landing gear, put them up. And now the HUD has the W for the direction of the nose. And then there's your current direction marker, which you'll notice as I'm turning, lags behind the nose a little bit. Is that that's an aircraft carrier, I think. That's fun. So, again, basic flight controls. You pull the stick up to go up, push the stick down to go down, and you'll notice there that red negative G's are not good for you. It's like hanging upside down, but even worse. So don't pull negative G's. Always pull up. And then roll left and right. Very responsive. You want to do very gentle control inputs, at least to start. Now I think I'm getting some funky tracking issues here. I think I need to sort this out. Now we can reduce throttle. We'll go down to, 3/4 throttle just because we're going 600 knots, and that's a bit extreme. So I'm going to go fly over the city now, just for some nice scenery. And then also when you're in the air, you can use the zoom and take the nav out a little bit. So, someone at the door. When you're in flight, well, we'll get to that later. Pretty cool looking city, I would say. Now, we'll start with the combat systems. Now that bar there, that's level. We want to keep a nice low vertical speed right there, just to fly nice and even. So, activate your weapon systems. You're going to go to the master arm switch, toggle master arm on. Now we have a new indicator on the HUD. That is the guns. Now doesn't have a target, so that will move around when you have a target. However, that is just currently where the bullets are going to go. You grab the joystick, pull the trigger. There they go. Very useful. And those will auto-detonate at a certain range so they don't go too far. To switch weapons, you're going to press on the right controller. You're going to press the uppermost of the clicky buttons, which is probably B. Boop. Now we have aim 9s. We'll get to those later. Aim 9s, aim 120s, back to the guns. So aim 9 and aim 120 are two different types of missiles. Those are, you can see an aim 9 on the wing over there. And that is about it for this part of the aircraft. So if you're ever in a pickle, as I am right now, or you get shot down or anything, you have a lovely big yellow eject handle in the middle here. All you need to do to eject, grip, and pull. And you will eject from the aircraft. And it will fly away into the distance. And you'll fail your mission, but not always. Don't eject if you don't have to, but it's a quick way to get to the end of mission screen.